This is Joseph Patello of the Patello Law Group with our video series, What to Do After a Personal Injury, Automobile Accident, or Slip and Fall. In this video, we are going to explain what you should be considering during the settlement phase of your personal injury lawsuit. This is our final video, but may also be one of our most important videos in this series. First and foremost, please watch all the videos in this entire video series and follow them and do exactly what I say, because the settlement portion of your personal injury case is not going to be very productive if you do not provide your attorney with the ammunition they need in the form of good medical records to actually settle your case or litigate your case. Another consideration for the settlement process is your financial situation. A lot of people do not want to consider this because they want the most bang for their buck. But if you do choose to not settle out of court and go to a trial, you have to understand that is going to take a case that would have been 1 to 2 years and stretch it from 2 to 4 or possibly 5 years. Trials take a long time. Getting the evidence together takes a long time. So you definitely want to consider how much time you can afford. Because between the time of your accident and the time of trial, other things may happen and you may need the money sooner than later. But generally, in the settlement process, the longer you wait, the larger the settlement will be. It's just a rudimentary fact. If you're trying to settle as quick as possible, the insurance agent, which is generally an underwriter for the insurance company, is going to see this. If you're pushing in the very beginning of your case to settle the case as fast as possible, you're definitely going to get lowballed because they are just hoping that you'll take a smaller sum of money just to settle the case. Don't forget, you only get one chance to settle the case. Once you settle and then later on find out that you have more existing injuries that you have sustained that are not taken account for in the settlement, unless you've had a settlement that states that any additional injuries that may arise in the future out of this accident can be taken into consideration, which the vast majority of insurance companies will never settle under those terms. That's something you might get at a trial or something. It's extremely rare. So if you do not wait until your treatment is complete, you're in a very bad position. If you try to settle too quickly, the insurance adjuster will know this and will lowball you just so they can give you money to get you out of their hair and get the case off their desk. So the longer you wait, the more money you're going to have. Also, the timing of when you settle. This sounds very strange, but insurance companies run on a yearly schedule. So if you're attempting to settle a case in January, February, March, or April, basically the first third of the year, those are going to get the worst settlements, simply because the desk of the insurance adjuster has been cleared off and they're getting fresh new cases, because the insurance adjusters need to get as many cases off their desk before the end of the year. This is why settling in December usually gets us the highest settlement amounts. If you're willing to wait longer to be able to get a better settlement, waiting until December actually does pay off. Obviously, this needs to go without saying, is that you do have a statute of limitations. That's the law in your state, which states between the time of the accident and the time you are able to file a lawsuit on it. In Massachusetts, that's 3 years. So if you wait longer than 3 years, you can't even sue. So you do need to have all your ducks in a row and have an experienced personal injury attorney who's ready to file a lawsuit within that statute of limitations. That is critical. That is more important than anything else. But taking the statute of limitations aside, your personal injury attorney can in fact just file a lawsuit without having all the facts, without you finishing your medical treatment, what have you. You can actually save the statute of limitations just by filing a lawsuit, and you can still settle during that lawsuit. But timing is critical. Beginning of the year, not as good as the very end of the year as far as settlement amounts. Another thing that I do have clients that are constantly calling me up, where are we on my case? Where are we on my case? And I ask them, have you finished treating? No, but I want to know where my settlement is. Your settlement, if you have an experienced attorney, is nowhere. Until you finish treating, if you have an experienced attorney, he's not negotiating. He's going to tell your insurance adjuster, we don't have all the medicals. Once my client has finished treating, then we can discuss settlement options. But until he's finished treating, I can't discuss settlement options because I do not know the extent of my client's injuries. If you have an experienced personal injury attorney, they're not even working on your case until you finish treatment. The only thing they're doing is ordering medical records from doctors you finish treating with and basically doing the paperwork on their end. They are not negotiating with the insurance adjuster at that stage, because if they are, they're just looking for quick dollars and to shortchange you in your personal injury settlement. How can you settle something if you do not have a clear picture? So you need to finish treatment based on your doctor's recommendation. Well, I'm not telling you because you want money to tell your doctor you're done treating. I'm saying follow your doctor's recommendations, do all the treatment required, go to the specialist your doctor has referred to you, go to the chiropractors and rehabilitation that your personal injury attorney has recommended you going. After all of that treatment's done, as long as it's before the 3-year statute of limitations or whatever the statute of limitation is in your state, you need to finish treatment. Your attorney should not even be attempting to settle a case until your treatment is done. Unless they've got so much medical evidence, we already know where we're going to go, so we can start preliminary negotiations. But in the best cases, we are always going to wait until you finish treatment, unless that is not an option due to the statute of limitations running and a trial needing to be, a lawsuit needing to be filed. Another very important thing to consider is you only have one chance to settle. I've said this before, but people do not understand. This goes back to waiting until you finish treatment, because if you settle early on and then it is found out through medical treatment or from some other means, let's say you just bend over in a way you're not used to bending over and you notice the pain that was never there. If you've already settled and you go to the doctor and there's something seriously wrong with you, something wrong with your back, something wrong with a particular nerve, something that's going to dramatically impact your personal injury lawsuit even though you didn't know it was there, and you settle, forget it. You're going to deal with that injury for the rest of your life, or however long you're going to suffer for it, for zero. You're just going to have to live with it. So always complete your medical treatment, because you only have one choice to settle. And the final topic we're going to discuss, which is probably the most exhaustive, is the cost of trial. This is something that I do not believe enough personal injury attorneys have a discussion with their client in the settlement phase, is a discussion about the cost of litigation. What you have to understand is the compensation your attorney is going to receive. If your attorney settles outside of court without filing, most likely you're only going to be paying 1/3 of your settlement amount to your attorney. That's pretty much industry standard. But depending if they filed a lawsuit or if they've gone to trial, most attorneys, the vast majority, the good ones who get results, their compensation ratchets up every time you go to another stage. So it's 1/3 if they settle out of court. It's 40% if they file in court. It can be as high as 50% or more if they take the case to trial and get a judgment at trial. So going to a trial will possibly get you a higher judgment amount. It's not called a settlement amount at trial, it's a judgment. But you have to consider the math. Your attorney is going to get a bigger chunk the farther down the road you go in a personal injury case. Usually 1/3 settling outside of court, about usually 40% if a case is filed in court, and usually 50% or more if your case goes all the way to trial and judgments received. Most people are not considering that. They just want the most, and I'm not going to settle. We're going to take this to court. That's fine. That's going to be your choice if you choose to settle or if you choose to go to court. But just understand, the farther you go in this process of personal injury, the more of a cut your attorney is going to make. And by the end of a full-blown trial, your attorney may, or most likely, is going to bring home more than you. So you need to consider this. If you do not have a large case, 6 or 7 figures, that's in the 100,000s or million range, going to the end of a trial and getting judgment at the end of a trial is going to be very expensive simply on the commission side of things. And this is for all, well, the vast majority of personal injury attorneys. There are personal injury attorneys that don't do a lot of work, don't have a lot of cases, so they need to make some type of benefit to their client to bring in cases. Does not mean you're getting the best attorney, just means you're getting the best price, which will not correlate with the best settlement amount. Furthermore, we need to think of expenses, expenses, expenses. Remember that the commission that your attorney receives is off the top. So any fees associated with your trial are not paid for by the attorney. They're paid for by you. And this is after your medical bills are paid. Don't forget that simply because you have medical insurance, many medical insurance providers, or if you have free state-funded medical insurance, government-funded medical insurance, most likely you're going to be paying the majority or all of it back. If you're on Medicare, Medicaid, you're most likely going to pay all of it back. And in certain instances, if your insurance is not great, you're going to be paying your insurance company back. So don't forget that your medical bills will be coming out of your judgment. Personal injury cases are not about winning the lottery. They are putting you back financially where you would have been had the accident not occurred, which the main thing is covering your medical expenses and your time out of work. So you've got to understand, at a trial, you're going to be paying for all of the fees associated with that trial. And what would those fees be, you may be asking? If we have to get a doctor, you're going to have to pay for that doctor. You're going to have to pay for the doctor to put together the evidence to present. Don't forget, you are not a medical doctor. You cannot testify at your own trial about your injuries. You can only testify about what happened in the accident, how you feel, and what it's been like dealing with the injuries you sustained. But the actual injuries themselves, that is not something you can testify against, because the opposing counsel is just going to object to the fact that you're not an expert witness. The judge is going to sustain that because you're not an expert. You are not a doctor. You cannot explain anything that has to do with the medical records that pertain to your case. So that means hiring medical professionals. And that comes out of your share, not the attorney's share. You don't share these costs. Your attorney is going to get their commission off the top before anything, before medical bills, before any fees. And that includes if you have to have private investigators, if you have to have more than one medical expert testify in your case, you're paying for both of those. You're talking about thousands of dollars just per day for them to sit there and testify for a few minutes or a few hours. You're going to pay them a base fee regardless what they do. They're not going to be working on an hourly fee basis for you. And in many cases, we have to fly experts in from other parts of the country. What does that mean you're paying for? You're paying for airfare. You're paying for the hotel. You're paying for the meals. And then you're paying for that expert's time in testifying in your case. And if you settle the case before that medical professional or doctor actually testifies, you're still paying them. And it's coming out of your share. This is not to dissuade people from going all the way. This is having a practical conversation that every personal injury attorney should have with their client, explaining to them the costs associated with a full-blown trial and how their commission actually will go up, meaning your percentage goes down, but the costs associated for the litigation are all put on your head. The only thing you get from your attorney is their time, their legal experience working on your case. Everything else you're going to pay for. So if you decide to go to a trial all the way to judgment, not only did you increase your case from 1 to 2 years to possibly 2 to 5 years, you've also incurred a higher commission rate that you must pay your attorney, all the medical experts. You're going to have to pay all their expenses, and anything pertaining to legal preparation of the trial. If we need exhibits, if we need video equipment to be rented, if we need anything to present in court, that cost is always going to be coming out of the amount of money you receive out of the judgment. So, just to recap, what you need to be considering during the settlement phase of your personal injury lawsuit is your financial situation. How long can you hold out? The longer you hold out, the better you're going to fare as far as the amount you're going to receive as a settlement or judgment. Also, you have to consider the timing of the settlement. If for some reason you couldn't settle at the end of the year and you're the beginning of the year, generally we don't like to settle cases in the first third of the year at the Patello Law Group, because that's when the insurance adjusters simply want to hand out money, short change, to get it out of their hair quickly. So the timing of your settlement's important. Also, you only get one shot of settling your case, so it's imperative you finish your medical treatment. But finally, but not lastly, is the cost of litigation and the increased compensation your attorney will receive by going to trial on your case. You're going to get less of a cut. It'll go from 1/3 to 40, 45, 50, or even more than 50% in some cases. At some of the larger, more prestigious law firms, they're going to charge you 60% if they take the trial all the way to judgment. And don't forget, all the costs associated with that trial are all falling on you out of your share of the judgment or settlement amount. That includes all the doctors, that includes all the materials, that includes all the medical records we have to request from everybody. You are literally paying for everything other than your lawyer's time. So the longer it goes, especially the deeper you go in a trial, or if you take the trial to judgment, these costs will be in the thousands. And many times you could put yourself in a situation where after your medical bills are paid, after your lawyer's commission's paid, and after all the experts and all the costs of trial are paid, you actually receive less than your attorney. Where if you did not go the lawsuit trial route and did not go all the way to judgment at trial, you can literally bring home more money if you accept the proper settlement at the proper time. So it's very critical that you take all of these circumstances into account and have a long conversation with your personal injury attorney about the benefits of settling at what time and the cost of taking your case to trial, the benefits of taking your case to trial, but also the cons of taking your case to trial, such as increased commissions and expert fees, trial preparation fees, materials needed for trial. All of this will come out of your share. This is something you should know in the beginning, so as you're going through the settlement process, you can be keeping in your mind, I'm not liking this settlement, but what is it going to cost you at trial? Because many times at the end of a trial, a client is very unhappy with the amount of money that it costs them to take it all the way to trial, especially when they realize that a settlement offer that they said no to would have gave them more money in their pocket in the end. So this is attorney Joseph Patello for our video series on what to do after a personal injury motorcycle, car, or slip and fall accident. Please watch all the videos in this video series and click the link in the description below for our blog on this video series and save that blog. This way, if you are in an accident, you can watch the whole thing relatively quickly, maybe while you're waiting for police, or refresh it. So that's our video on what to consider during the settlement phase of your personal injury case. Thank you and have a good day. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the notification bell to get future videos that we'll be putting out. And please share our content on social media. but not lastly, is the cost of litigation and the increased compensation your attorney will receive by going to trial on your case. You're going to get less of a cut. It'll go from 1/3 to 40, 45, 50, or even more than 50% in some cases. At some of the larger, more prestigious law firms, they're going to charge you 60% if they take the trial all the way to judgment. And don't forget, all the costs associated with that trial are all falling on you out of your share of the judgment or settlement amount. That includes all the doctors, that includes all the materials, that includes all the medical records we have to request from everybody. You are literally paying for everything other than your lawyer's time. So the longer it goes, especially the deeper you go into trial, or if you take the trial to judgment, these costs will be in the thousands. And many times you could put yourself in a situation where after your medical bills are paid, after your lawyer's commission's paid, and after all the experts and all the costs of trial are paid, you actually receive less than your attorney. Where if you did not go the lawsuit trial route and did not go all the way to judgment at trial, you can literally bring home more money if you accept the proper settlement at the proper time. So it's very critical that you take all of these circumstances into account and have a long conversation with your personal injury attorney about the benefits of settling at what time and the cost of taking your case to trial, the benefits of taking your case to trial, but also the cons of taking your case to trial, such as increased commissions and expert fees, trial preparation fees, materials needed for trial. All of this will come out of your share. This is something you should know in the beginning, so as you're going through the settlement process, you can be keeping in your mind, I'm not liking this settlement, but what is it going to cost you at trial? Because many times at the end of a trial, a client is very unhappy with the amount of money that it costs them to take it all the way to trial, especially when they realize that a settlement offer that they said no to would have gave them more money in their pocket in the end. So this is attorney Joseph Patello for our video series on what to do after a personal injury motorcycle, car, or slip and fall accident. Please watch all the videos in this video series and click the link in the description below for our blog on this video series and save that blog. This way, if you are in an accident, you can watch the whole thing relatively quickly, maybe while you're waiting for police, or refresh it. So that's our video on what to consider during the settlement phase of your personal injury case. Thank you and have a good day.